Hello, everyone, and welcome to Ohio Nicole Creates. This week, I am sharing my process for a journal spread I did in the Homemaker's Handbook. And as always, with this particular journal, I am including a lot of bright and bold colors. So I am finishing the background of this journal with a watercolor wash. And the particular watercolor wash that I'm using is a violet from Dandelion Paints liquid watercolors. And as with the other pieces of this particular journal, I've used a lot of primary colors. So I'm keeping in that vein, as the purple particularly, I just found it's a beautiful color. And then, of course, relying on my literary background, purple also represents loyalty and a sense of kind of royalty or romance. So as I was collecting different pieces for this page, I just kept kind of going back to this purple color and thinking about that loyalty, that deep loyalty that people have for one another. So I thought it would be fun to kind of base the entire journal page around that color. So once I've watercolored, I just kind of want to have a little bit of a different kind of look with streaks and washes. So I'm not worried too much about providing an even application, but I am trying to cover the entire page. I do end up covering a majority of the background with the different elements, but I'm happy with how the streaking came out. My first focal piece for this journal is actually from a collage paper from Jesse Peterson of Let's Make Art, and she had a really fun journal challenge where she cut out the figure and then put a postage stamp on the head. So I knew I wanted to do something with that because I just loved the way that it looked, but I also wanted to include different pieces of ephemera to kind of highlight this image. So I looked at several different pieces, and I decided that I really liked the dictionary background, and it talked about chastity and being chaste, which kind of goes along with this romance here. And then I have here a tag that I made previously, and this tag was just a piece of white cardstock that I cut out and used some various distress inks on and added water to get that nice splotchy look. And then I'm going here and I am writing some writing just to give a little bit more interest to the piece for the particular prompt that Jesse gave. It was about letters and post. And so I wrote about when I was a young child, we moved quite frequently. So I just kind of wrote about that experience for this. And then once I have finished with the writing, I will use this as a background for the woman's image. And if you've never incorporated any kind of personal writing into your journals, I strongly encourage it. Sometimes you can surprise yourself with what you come up with. And that personal handwriting, I feel, even if you don't think your handwriting is the best, which of course mine isn't, I just feel that personal touch is just so nice for these kind of personal art journals and adding our own little bit of personality. Even if the writing is going to be covered up, just having that little bit of yourself and not having to make everything perfect can be really great. So I'm using my 3-in-1 craft glue just to adhere the tag down. I also used a Fiskars punch to embellish the corners of this tag, and I will link which punch that was down in the description box below. But as you can see, I've left that little white spot in the middle, so it kind of highlights the image a bit. And then I'm just playing around with gluing the elements. And I knew that I wanted to include this figure in some way, and I was really happy with how that particular page came out. To finish off this second page, we have the letter writer, and now I wanted to have a little bit about who she might have been writing the letters to. And so as I was going through my pile of interesting bits and bobs, I found some pieces that really spoke to me: a travel ticket, a postage stamp, and a playing card, which was the Ace of Spades. And just kind of thinking about love letters and things that are lost in post and things that we send one another, I started to design the page around that. On the back of the playing card, I have used a poem by Janius Hempstead, and there's his picture here. He was actually included in one of the book pages that I used. It was on regional poets in America, and I had never heard of him before. I do a lot of literature and creative writing in my professional life, so I thought that was really interesting to learn about a new poet, and I decided to make him the focus of the second page. And I found that he was actually quite a young boy when he joined the Union forces for the Civil War. And he wrote a lot of poetry about his experiences there, and he continued to write after the war when he became an adult. So I've included his poem that was on the page along with his picture. And I just wanted to add that little bit because I thought that was such an interesting kind of bit of history to include. To embellish the page, again, going with that romance image, I'm just thinking of this idea of a canceled ticket, a bit of lace and some flowers just to kind of give that romantic feel. And then we have the cathedral image on the back of the playing card. And I have to say, playing cards are one of my absolute favorite elements to use. Because you can use the front. There are so many interesting images on the backs of playing cards, and there's something that I have collected for a long while. This particular playing card came to me in an Upwrinkled kit, and I had been holding on to it, just waiting for the perfect project. And as purple and orange are complementary colors, I thought it went well. And then I also found this letter H, and since the poet's last name is Hempstead, I thought that that was just really perfect and wanted to include it in the page with these other romantic images. And I can just imagine the poet and this woman writing to each other, and perhaps she wrote poetry to him too, but we have a little bit of his poetry left. And I felt that it just really pulled the image together to have this kind of writer and then the artifacts or the elements of her writing. So here is my letters in post inspired by Jesse Peterson of Let's Make Art. And I also have included the poem here in the card, and I will share that with you. It's a tear. What is a tear? Ah, well, a crystal drop that fell from sorrow's trembling lid, to soothe the aching spell where silent grief lay hid. Beneath the desert's barren swell, where crumbling stone and pyramid their tear-stained stories tell. Is this a tear, ah me, that rambles on my cheek? 'Tis not the sign of glee, but woe too dumb to speak, that finds on bended knee a lonely heart too bleak for other eyes to see. Is this a tear? Why, yes, a crystal drop that wells from healing springs to bless the woe that hath a voiceless knell, and with aeolian strains to cheer the heart whose bolted citadel is opened by a tear. And I have transcribed this exactly as it was in the book with the typographical errors and all. So I hope you enjoyed learning a little bit about Janius and my process video, and I will see you soon. Thank you so much, everyone. Bye.